What's up, guys? Welcome back to Orange and Blueprints. Another week, another opponent, and we're scouting Angel City FC. I was mentioning this right before we started that it is a top of the table matchup in week three, which is kind of unbelievable. But today we've got a very special guest. Today we've got Trebor Tracy from Angels on Parade. Trebor, how you doing?
Doing good. Very excited for the match, which is now tomorrow as of this recording. So,
Yeah.
uh, very excited, and this should be a fun one.
I think it'll definitely be high pace for sure. But before we get right into it, if you want to introduce yourself to the Bayou City Soccer fam, that way we get to know a little bit about you and where everybody can follow you and support you and Angels on Parade after this episode.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I'm Trev Tracy. I'm from Angels on Parade. A lot of the work that we do is on angelsonparade.com. I've been covering Angel City from the beginning, way back before we had the little split with Vox. We were under the SB Nation banner, and yeah, I've been with LAFC or with Angel City since the beginning. I do a little LAFC as well, but it's a lot of fun. People can find me mostly on Blue Sky at Treb Tracy, and do a lot of women's soccer talk over there. Not just about Angel City, following the chaos of the league, especially this year, the way that it's been. There's always something to talk about. We just had the wild Wednesday yesterday at midweek with a lot of the matches. So hoping things continue this weekend and we see a lot more fun results and a lot of goals.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been especially midweek. We see a team like Denver Summit get their first win against the champions, and so much else. KC looks like they're sliding and continuing to slide, and Orlando picked up their first win. But now we've got all sides and all eyes on this game, where our Houston Dash here in Houston will travel to the City of Stars, Los Angeles, to play Angel City FC. We started by talking about how this is a top of the table matchup, and I mean, fairing all of these results midweek, we can very much see these two teams kind of stay at that top point. I mean, both are teams that kind of had pretty, I would say, below average or below expectation seasons last year. I mean, what goes through your head when thinking top of the table?
Definitely not where I saw Angel City being. um I feel like I was one of the more confident in seeing an improvement from Angel City this year. I did have them finishing probably closer to around sixth, and making the playoffs, something that they absolutely need to do this year. I don't think even I could have predicted just how strong their offenses looked to start the season. Um, but I also, I think the one of the reasons that I picked them in six was just that I know how crazy NWSL can get, and I know that anything could happen in any year. Um, Gotham typically starts seasons slow, so to see them go down to the new team was surprising, but also not surprising. I think more surprising for me this year so far has been Kansas City looking not as sharp coming into 2026, and just they look consistently bad so far through three matches. So that'll be interesting. But for Angel City, just top of the table feels really good. I think more so than the standings right now is just how they're playing. They seem to be able to score at will. Their offense looks a lot more potent than it has in recent years. It definitely looks like a team that knows who they are and what they want to do under Alex Strauss, and so it's exciting. And I think Houston fans will see that when for those that come to LA, it is going to be an amazing atmosphere, because I think now that opening day was one of the lowest attended opening days that Angel City saw, which was still 16,000 people. I think this will be a lot more people now that they realize that the team isn't set for another disappointing year in 2026, and so I can't wait. It should be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see how Houston looks, because again, like you mentioned, These are two teams that had a disappointing end of 2025 and are looking to make a statement here in 2026, and so far they have.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at Angel City, they're young, but Houston is younger, and I think having the bravery that Fabrice Catrat did, putting four rookies on the starting lineup in their opening match against San Diego, I think going to play a Snapdragon's always tough, and to have that confidence in the youth, I mean, it's kind of what's writing them into what we see, which is a Dash team that defends just as well as they did last year, and now are kind of putting the pieces together offensively. Um, Looking at, I mean, Angel City, you saw players like Riley Tiernan last year have amazing success, and they're continuing that. Do you see any players of note that you think are gonna provide Houston a lot of danger?
I think what you've seen from Angel City this year is a lot of change, right? Like you mentioned, Riley Tiernan, she's not playing the nine role as much as she was last season. She's now out on the wings. You have Svendis in that central attacking role. She's really stepped up. Something she mentioned in off-season training. She understood that last year she didn't really contribute the way that she would have wanted to and contribute the way that I think a lot of people expected a player of her caliber with the European experience to come on and contribute, and she's done really well. I think that's a player to watch. I think someone also is Kennedy Fuller in her third year, still only 20 years old. She jokingly called herself the veteran now, which she is. She's been one of the longest tenured players on this team now after kind of the refresh of the roster. And you see in year three, which is usually a critical year for players, she's really starting to step up and she's embracing kind of that newfound responsibility. And she is someone that I think is going to really be the engine that makes this team go because, we saw it last week against Bay FC. She's someone that can put it in a long pass. She can break down a defense. She has incredible vision. She can also let loose a long shot and score from distance. And so I think she is going to be that engine that makes it go. But yeah, I think her and Svendis kind of stepping up this year are going to be really important pieces. And I know you mentioned Houston's defense, and I think for Angel City, as much as we want to talk about their offense and the goals that they've scored, they've also only allowed one goal through two games too, and their defense has been phenomenal. And it hasn't been just Sarah Gordon. The return of Savvy King, obviously, with everything that happened, was something that fans were waiting for. And she's shown that, they missed her last year, not just on a human level, but on a production level. She came in and was one of their best defenders pretty early on before everything had happened. And she's picking up right where she left off. So I think between those three players, those are three to kind of watch out for if you're any opponent of Angel City.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid outlook, especially considering that like the Dash, considering their hot start, has really still continued the same struggle as last year, which is defending the transitions. The
Mm-hmm.
moment you saw Angel City kind of pick up a mistake, they kind of almost effortlessly like took it and really provided the change of pace, and I think the speed necessary to create those goals. I mean, um, now having a number nine that 2 goals and 2 assists in the first two games. I mean, it, it would be great if it's a player that comes from poaching positions and stuff, but you really see her kind of drop back and really provide that counterattacking support, which I think is really important. And I think the Dash are going to struggle with that. I think Paige Nielsen, a former Angel City player, somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's been extremely dangerous as a defender for the Dash last season and season before that. I think the testament that the only game that the Dash have won in Los Angeles against Angel City was because of a Paige Nielsen revenge goal. I think that probably stings in the hearts of every Angel City fan, but it just comes to the character of Paige is the type of player that you need to watch in this matchup because she needs to be at her best in order to really contain um, such I would label a speedy but technical offense. Jane Campbell. I mean, Jane was phenomenal against San Diego. She put out 9 saves. I think um, that just speaks for itself. I think if she has a performance like that, then even if Nielsen makes mistakes, even if Patterson, as great as she is, makes a mistake, then Jane will be there. But I think the midfield combo of Maggie Graham and Danny Colaprico, I think that's going to be really the main matchup uh, for this Dash team because I mean you've noticed they like playing kind of build up slow play. They don't necessarily try to rush themselves. I think that's something that Fabrice has really been insistent on. Um, Play slow, play smart, play methodically, and I think at their best, this is kind of the Dash that we've gotten to see in the first two games, and that's all orchestrated by Graham and Colaprico and the partnership that they've had. I think Angel City have done extremely well containing the wing play. I would like to see them be a little more effective in the midfield play. I think um, asking the question of being 2-0 against Chicago and Bay, I think will definitely be something to note, but I don't know. Do you think that the weakened opponents is kind of a red herring, or do you think that facing a team like the Dash, a team like Washington, a team like Kansas City, do you think those kinds of teams will fare similarly to the first two games of the season?
I think people who mention, Angel City's opponents so far, I think that's fair. But also, I would remind them that, Chicago Stars were the worst team in the league last year, and they walked in and beat Angel City. You know what I mean? So this isn't a team that historically has been able to handle, inferior opponents well. What you know I think the thing that really says a lot about the first two games of the season is, yeah, these are weaker opponents, and you would expect a team that is going to be good to handle that fairly easily, and I think Angel City have done just that. They had the 4 goals against Chicago. They had the 3 goals against Bay. They looked really good in both matches. They scored quickly. They put pressure on their opponent's defense. They were able to take control of the match and play that the way that they want to play, the way that Alex Strauss wants to play. And I don't expect this team to go invincible and win them all. So I do think there will be losses and there will be slip ups. I like everyone else, I very much am interested to see how they fare against a Washington Spirit side this year that has struggled as well. After losing Croy Bethune, they haven't really looked the same in their attack, and a Kansas City team that we saw yesterday is also struggling this season. So I think this is the perfect time, if you're Angel City, to really take control of the season, because a lot of the quote unquote top teams have started off slow. They've stumbled out of the starting blocks. And one thing I talked about coming into this season was that out of the first 7 matches, 5 of those matches are at home for Angel City. With the trip away to the Bay Area, 6 of those 7 matches are in California. So they're traveling for the first, quarter of the season is minimal. And if you're ever going to take advantage of showing that you are a different team, this is it. I think you were right to mention the midfield. That is still a little bit of a sore spot. They have 2 major injuries, with Hina Sagita being out for the season with the ACL that we found out a couple weeks ago. And obviously, June Endo is still working her way from a major injury last year. So hopefully she can be available at some point. You still have Claire Emsley coming off of maternity leave. She's aiming for kind of a April
Mm-hmm.
return. So we'll see how that works out. But I just think overall, despite the opponents, it's how they've played. They haven't snuck by with a 1-0 win, a 2-0, a 2-1 win. They've completely dominated the first two teams that they played. And so even if they are inferior opponents, I think you can take away from that this is still a very different Angel City team than we're used to seeing. And so I'm really excited about tomorrow's matchup, because this is 2 young teams that have had phenomenal starts to the season going at it. And I think it'll be a testament not just to the talent on the field, but it'll be interesting to see kind of who blinks first, right? Like with these teams being so young, who's going to make the mistake, who's going to, buckle down and have almost a perfect match that you have to have to win these kind of games. And so it's exciting. It's exciting to put that to the test against a team that's equally as hot this year.
Yeah, I think you made a great point about like this is going to kind of feel like the intensity of a playoff atmosphere on the field. I think it's something to note that 3 points separated Angel City and Houston last season, and both
Mm-hmm.
well, Houston was 3 points, or no, Houston was 6 points out of a playoff spot, and Angel City nine. That's not too far off. So both of them are gonna have the sting of missing that playoff line, and I think you're gonna look at this game saying, "Hey, this team was right there with us," and I think Angel City is probably gonna be looking at it in a bit more of a, "Hey, let's keep this house as a fortress," where Houston's gonna be looking
Hmm.
at necessarily we've struggled against Angel City. We've only had one win against this team, and I think this is our chance now. Like you mentioned, you see dynasties falling, you see great teams stumble, you see the league kind of be as open as I would argue ever. And I think the Dash are probably going to be looking at this as Angel City is just up next. I don't know if you've seen the Grim Reaper meme, but
Yeah.
that's probably how the Dash are feeling right now. Uh, what do you think the mentality for Angel City should be going into this game? Because like, yeah, I talked a lot about Angel City being unproven, with the opponents, but I mean, look at the Dash. I mean, San Diego's a strong team, but Boston, not so much. I think that also needs to be taken with a little bit grain of salt, and so I don't know what do you think the mentality should be going into this game?
I know for Angel City, the mentality right now is like you mentioned, it's establishing La Fortaleza. Like it's making BMO a a tough place for any team to win. I think that's something that they've struggled with since their arrival in the NWSL is just really taking that next step and making their home field their home field. I've often joked that Angel City probably have the least home field advantage in all the sports when it comes to like getting calls, VAR going against them. Like there just always seems to be something where you feel like, man, this isn't really a home team. But this year, they seem to have finally figured it out. And I think the mentality coming into this match is less about, okay, this is just another team to beat, but more about it's another chance to prove that people coming into LA aren't going to have the easy time that they may have had in the past, or have the time where we're going to make the mistakes, right? Like we want to make sure if we get beaten at home, it's going to take an incredible effort to do so. And I think that that's something that Alex Strauss has instilled in this team right now, where it's like they're taking every match one game at a time. And it sounds cliche, but again, he's someone that understands a slip up is going to come. And I think that'll be the real test for the team is just how they respond to that and making sure that it just happens once. But in terms of this match, it's still really early in the season. They're still riding the vibes of the offseason, which have been really good for the team. And I think just coming into this match, and I think also with Houston having Paige Nielsen there, you know that there's an ex player on that other side, and there's a part of you that's just like we can't let her have that winner that she had last season. Like we cannot let her have that moment, and I think they're going to try to really put on a show for the home crowd. Um, and just really prove that BMO is going to be their fortress for this season and for seasons to come. So I think that's the mentality that they have right now.
Yeah, no, I think when you're talking about a team like that, it's borderline unbeatable. Because then I think you're playing like everyone's gonna get sacrificed after the game.
Yeah.
You're acting like, oh, if this is not our home, then oh, I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, the Dash last year, they were horrendous at home in the first half of the season, and the summer break came, and they won five straight, including against KC. It's a really dangerous position to be if you're facing a team that's desperately trying to make their home a fortress. And I mean, LA, that's one of the breeding grounds of football culture. I think if you really channel that, if you're Angel City, I think the Dasher into gonna get into some problems here. I think I was able to speak to Fabrice earlier today, and we really got to talk about how can this goal scoring continue to happen, and he really honestly just said like you know a like just talk about avoid getting into their game because you saw Chicago, you saw Bay. The moment it kind of clicked for Angel City is when those two teams were playing it. They're trying to match Angel City. I think Houston needs to you know try to escape that mentality and be like their house, our house, doesn't matter. Like Doesn't
Hmm.
matter. Like, because again, Paige Nielsen's probably gonna want another one of those moments, and I think with all of the storylines, I think it'll just make for such a great night of soccer. Um, and I'm just really excited to see what'll happen. This is the first game where I really don't know what to think because it could either be a 7 goal thriller or it could be a 1-0 or 0-0, just like absolute park the bus for 90 minutes. But if you had to pick one, like what score are you kind of leaning to when it comes to looking at the score after 90?
I as much as I want to see a goal fest, like you said, I can absolutely see this being one of those gritty type of Angel City wins where it's like you're only going to get the one goal and you'll be lucky to get that. Um, I think so far the thing that has stung Chicago and Bay FC is they try to run with Angel City. And I think teams are going to start realizing real soon that just because Alyssa Thompson is gone doesn't mean this team is anywhere near slow. They still have Giselle on the wing that plays up really high despite being a defender. Evelyn Shores is a really quick, a sneaky quick defender coming out and having played midfield her entire collegiate career, like a player that knows how to be comfortable on the ball. Um, so I think from what I've seen from the dash, I don't think they are going to want to play that game. I don't think they're going to try to run
We'd
with
be in a
Angel.
mountain of troubles if we try to play that game. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
I think a lot of teams are going to see that, and I think Houston's going to be the first one that's like, okay, let's try something different. Let's try to really slow up the match. Let's try not to get hit on counters, and let's be methodical about it. And I think that that could lead to a low scoring match. I can see this one being 2-1, maybe even 2-2 draw, but I don't think we get more than four combined goals. I would be surprised if we get more than four combined goals.
Fair. All right. So besides the draw, I'm going to just you know go with my gun and assume that you're gonna guess an Angel City win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna have confidence in Angel City until they prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was one of the only ones that really felt firm in that they would make the playoffs this year. And I think that for me, it's always about how a team looks, more so than the results on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they just look really good. Like they look like an offense that has figured it out. Svendes looks like a player that has figured out the league. I think that she's only going to improve as time goes on. I'm really interested to see how they incorporate Casey Fair, with her having missed the first two matches away at Asians Cup. I think with her coming back in now, that's another player that whose development is really improved with her loan spells over the last couple of years. So I'm really intrigued to see how many minutes she gets, how she gets implemented, because she's another player that's pretty quick on the ball. She has, I think, some sneaky size to her. Like that was one thing watching her in offseason training. I was just like, man, she looks like she's grown a couple inches almost. She's just like a real big presence. And so, yeah, I'm gonna back Angel City for the win. But again, I don't think that this match is gonna be another 3-1, 4-0. I think Houston are
Yeah.
gonna come in and make it difficult. But I do think in the end, Angel City are gonna do just enough to win. And this is gonna be one of those matches where they're really gonna have to lean on their defense. I think Houston's gonna struggle to get past Sarah Gordon and Savvy King. And I think it'll be one of those matches. But yeah, I got us winning 2-1.
I yeah I in last night's show that we did for Bayou City, I went with 3-2 because I do lean towards just the fact that just as easy as it is for these kinds of high pace, high octane teams to really be at it, it's really easy for them to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And picking yourself up after that collapse is really difficult. And I think you see a team like Angel City who plays kind of like at that 100 all 90 minutes because I mean, granted, they have the talent and the skill to do that. Um, I think Houston are kind of building a system where they can withstand that. And so I do see a lot of goals happening because I mean when you have these two perfectly imperfect systems, the way I'll say it, um, you get typically a lot of goals. And so I originally guessed the 3-2 win for Houston. I see another. I don't think it's going to be Paige. I don't think it's going to be that scripted. I don't think the script is real. Um, but I definitely do see a lot of goals. I think I'm going to lean more towards Houston because I want to personally believe that this Houston Dash team, their offensive strengths right now are real. I want it so desperately not to be a fluke, but I think for me, this is going to be the game that Houston needs to really prove that. Their
Hmm.
slogan is prove it. Their whole thing is prove it. I think this is the game where they really have to, go and actually prove it. Um, but but yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Treb, for jumping up and talking for the week. I'm excited to see how this game shapes up. For all of y'all, go and find him and his amazing work at Blue Sky. And you all know where to find me every Wednesday night with Orange and Blueprints here at Bayou City Soccer. But I'm excited for the game, and we'll see what happens. Until then, we will see y'all later.